Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and the craft/dining room. Today, I am going to take you on a tour of my creative space. We're going to dive into how I have set up the craft/dining room over the years to make this creative space my own. I know that many of you are like me and you have to carve out a space in which to create. Maybe you don't have an extra room, but you might have a corner of the kitchen, a corner of the dining room, a corner of the bedroom. Whatever space you have, I hope that my video today inspires you to look at your space with fresh eyes, work with what you have, and remember, as long as you have a space in which to create, it's all good. My craft/dining room tour is coming up next. The first thing I want to do is show you some establishing shots of my craft/dining room. When you walk into my house, you can't miss it. And I've been trying to desensitize my husband over the years and convince him how beautiful it is to see all these crafty supplies. I'm not sure if he's all in on it yet, but I've been creating in here since 2003, and I am really doing my best to win him over. We do eat in this room once every 5 to 7 years when it's our turn to host Thanksgiving. But we have a kitchen with a dining room table, and it's large enough for my small family of 4 to eat on any given day. So we rarely eat in this room. Also, over the years, I've had a few custom pieces built. And I'm going to have a link to my blog post below, which will give you more details about those pieces because they were made by a local maker. And I really believe that sometimes if you have an odd little space, maybe you can hire a local artisan or crafter to create something that will work for you. Or there's always IKEA. So we're going to break down each space and I will walk you through what is in what, the choices that I made. And again, I'm going to have all links to everything that you see in this video that can be sourced below. And if you have any questions, by all means, shoot me a comment or shoot me an email. Let's get into it. So let's start in what I like to call my ink corner. I have recently updated this space because I have a lot of inks, as you will see here. Got a lot of inks here, right? And all of my ink holders are from OrganizeMore. And then I have this wonderful Alex unit that's on rollers. Unfortunately, this is not sold anymore in white. I'm not sure why IKEA chose to do that. But this is the space where I keep a lot of crafty things. So let's take a closer look. These ink shelves have been really amazing, right? They're from OrganizeMore. And I break down by the company. So up top, I have Gina K inks and Concord and Ninth. I have all of my distress inks below that. I don't think this unit is sold anymore, but this one's a little larger. All of my Simon inks are here. And then I also have all of my embossing inks and all of my black stamping inks fill in this right-hand side. There's more ink in my space that I'll show you in a minute, but that is where the bulk of it is. I also keep my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine here. I have 2 die cut machines and I use them both. This one I am using less now that I have my Gemini Junior, but it is still a fantastic workhorse and I love that it folds up and you can just tuck it in. I also keep some ink blending tools up here. These are relatively new for me. I've had the wood handles for a long time, but I just added the foam tools. That's been a nice little bit of storage that's extra. And I keep all of my Nuvo crystal drops and crystalline drops and things like that on this shelf here. Again, really handy. I don't use these a ton, but I do like the clear glazes. I love this pencil holder, also from OrganizeMore. I don't have a lot of colored pencils, and to be honest with you, I don't do a lot with them, but that is a goal for the coming weeks and months. Up top, I have just added these floating shelves from OrganizeMore to display some of my favorite cards, and I love them. I hung them a little crooked, but I think they look really good. And yes, I do have one of my own cards up here, because sometimes you know how you make a card and you're like, dang, girl. That's why that's there. So that's a look at what's on the outside in this corner. Let's take a look at what's on the inside. So here's a look at my Alex unit. And again, I don't believe they're selling this anymore in white, which I don't understand why, but I'll give you a quick peek here. I keep all of my acrylic blocks in a little plastic bin. I do have some Hero Arts powder in white, and someone had actually asked me the other day, they said, Cathy, you should get these little bins and use them for your embossing powder. The main reason I don't anymore is I have one, and I just always found it really messy actually with the spoon, so that's why I just use a folded piece of paper. I just prefer it. But this is where all of my embossing powders are, distress embossing glazes. All of them live here. It's a very, very focused drawer. I have Hero Arts, Gina K, lots of Simon Says Stamp, and then other powders. They're all in here. I suppose I should have something on top of all of them. I had actually started doing samples of what they look like and on top, and you know what? I just don't branch out that much. So drawer number 2, this is probably my happiest drawer in the house, and this is where I keep my ink cubes. Now some of them are missing right now, and I'll show you how that all shakes out in a minute. But I love that you can pull them out, bring them to your work surface, right? And you have exactly what you need in hand. I still have room to expand here, and 2 fit in each one. I am of the belief that cubes are a great way to try out an ink before you go all in on full-size ink pads. I did have to extend some of my distress cubes over here because now I have way too many to fill, but these have been fantastic tools of organization for my ink cubes. This is my little bling drawer. This is where I keep little enamel dots. This is where I keep all of my gems and jewels in these, is it Elizabeth Arden? I should know this, but it is a great storage thing for me, even though 95% of the time, I actually just reach for silver sequins. What can I say? I'm plain. All right, the next drawer is primarily paint supplies. So I keep like my different palettes. There's my Gansai Tambi, my Mission colors, you know, this is just kind of where I keep my paints and supplies like that for painting. What's funny lately is I've been so into painting with distress inks that I haven't been touching anything in this drawer, but this is where those things live. And I also have, I showed these in a video the other day, some of my old blending foams that I'm not really using, some old daubers, some Nouveau pastes, and some inks that I need, that I felt were fun for painting, but I haven't really done much with. This is the ribbon drawer. So this is where I keep different ribbons and twines and washi tape, mostly down here. I actually love this thing. I think this is from a company called Already Memories. Again, anything I can source I will, but I love that thing. And I just keep a few things in here. Got a craft mat in here. Anything that will fit primarily, but that is that drawer. And the last drawer is really just a bunch of glitter gels and a bunch of foils. So all my deco foil and all my transfer sheets, all of that along with transfer gel, a few more glimmer pastes, that all lives there. So that's a look at that corner. Next is my newly created cutting station. Now this is really exciting to me because what I did was I brought my Holtz trimmer and one of my older mats here, and I put them on this old record cabinet. Now, my husband doesn't know that I've taken all the records out. He has a huge collection downstairs. But what's cool, I want to show you this. So what I do here, any new releases that come in, I'm going to keep the boxes in here, put dates on the spines, and other stamps that need to be worked with are going to be in there. On the other side, we have smaller trimmers from Holtz and my extra Mistis. So I think that's actually a really cool little cutting station. And yeah, it kind of juts out in the space, but what are you gonna do? It's a dining room. Next, we are gonna talk about this cabinet. This is one of the 2 cabinets that I had built for me back in 2006. And this bad boy cost me, oh, I don't know, $650. What was great was that it fit right into this little weird alcove that we had, and it was a space that wasn't really being used that well, so for me, this was perfect. Let's get in a little closer. The paper shelf itself, which really was designed to be a paper shelf, is an insert. So the maker designed this in 2 pieces. This whole piece, this is a unit, and there's another one underneath it. So they slide in and they can come out if need be, which is kind of cool. Not that I'm going to be taking this apart anytime soon. Up top, this is where I keep my Zig pens, another empty bin. I wish you could still buy those, but they're not available. I've got some little 30 Days of Thankful scrapbooks up there, some custom stamps, and a few other bits and bobs. On top, that's just a bunch of stuff. I have cards up there, I have albums up there. Basically anything I don't have room for, it goes there. So I organized my 8.5 by 11 cardstock by color. In here, I have Gina K designs, I have Simon Says stamp, and I think that's all I have in here. I keep my cardstock in the plastic that it comes in, and all I do, I just cut off the top with an X-Acto knife. That way, my papers can stay in, and I can also keep any scraps that I have right inside, right, so they don't get lost. So that enables me to keep things all nicely together. And I love that. The man who created this for me is no longer making anything like it, but the cool thing was that he designed the shelving units for a scrapbook store in Minnesota called Archivers. So when I met with him, he knew exactly what I was looking for, and that's pretty cool. In the center here, this is all my Concord and 9th cardstock. This is new. And these are my 2 favorite shelves. This is where I keep Nina Solar White Classic Crest in the, I think that's the 80, and that's the 110. The other thing about these shelves, I don't think initially they were really designed to come in and out like that, but that is how I have used most of them. Like some of them slide out super easily, and I love that. So all of my paper is here. Right up top here, this is where I keep adhesives, pixie spray, cleaners, my distress sprayer, basically anything that's tall that needs to stand up goes there. And then right above that, I have some large acrylic blocks, stamp cleaners, and other things that don't really have a home. It is funny that this was initially just designed for paper, right? But what I did was take a few shelves out, put different things in, right? This is where all of my distress sprays and stains go, which I don't use much, and I'd like to get more into that. Re-inkers on this shelf. And again, as you go down, that's kind of a ham-handed storage. And this is where I keep my big camera that I shoot all of my card images with, and my extra lens. Oh, there goes the door. See, the door comes open on me. And on the door here, those were some of my most used Lawn Fawn stitch dies, and I've kind of gotten out of the habit of using them, but I've got another area in my space that I'll show you where I do keep all of my most used dies. In here, I've got some of my Swatch Rings, and I love my Swatch Rings because I use these a lot. I've got some Copic charts with colors here, and I also have a little bin where I put brand new stamps that I have purchased that I want to play with, etc., etc. And again, whatever I hang on the door is just quick and easy resource material. So the area below here, this is another cool cabinet that I think someday I would love to do more with, because this is where I keep all of my stamps and dies. Now, this won't open all the way because everything's going to be in the way, but I'll try to give you, let's push this back a little. I'll try to give you a quick overview of how all of this works. In my dream world, I'm going to have one of my friends who makes things make different shelves that can pull out. Although I don't know how that's going to work with these doors, because it's kind of hard for me to come in here and pull these out, right, and access everything that I have. And you can see here I'm running out of space, right? But I organize just like Jennifer McGuire told me to. I have pockets, and actually I'll also pop a link out for this because I have a little template that you can print out to make your own dividers. But I keep Simon and CZ stuff primarily here. Oh, it's so heavy. And further inside the cabinet, I keep cards. So here I have all of cards that I've made and haven't sent, all of my envelopes, which this is primarily Gina K and Simon Says stamp. And I just use these bins from, is it Linus, or I don't even know what the company is, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Now down here, more stuff. This is where I have my larger sets, right? And I organize by manufacturer. I don't have so many stamps and dies that I need to just dedicate, one whole thing, but these are my big 6x8 sets. And this is, again, more cards that I've made, things that need to be filed, right? It's not, I wish that this were a little more slick, right? But it is what it is. And then inside here, I have paper pads, right, that I keep in a little bin. I got my 1, 2, 3 punch board. And then down at the very bottom here, these are a bunch of scrapbooks, not necessarily in any order. And I'm going to show you where I keep all of my finished scrapbooks too, because I have an area. And then that mat, in case I ever forget, what's my last name again? That is a look at this cabinet. I rarely close the drawers because there's no reason to. And believe it or not, the sun almost never hits that cardstock. So it's pretty nice because I don't have to worry about any bleaching happening. All right, that is the cabinet. Moving on. Ignore that thing on the floor. That's literally stuff that has no home. Okay, now here's a look at what I consider to be also another really happy thing in the craft/dining room. And that is this paper shelf cabinet, also built by the same maker. Again, I believe it was back in 2006. So let's take a look at this. So the cool thing about this cabinet is the upper storage space that it gives me. And I love it. Over here, I keep a bin of things that are new, things that I want to work on, things that haven't been, sorted yet. Well, it says ASAP. That is just sort of a catch-all. And then I have all of my Copic markers here in these OrganizeMore storage standard marker holders. I also have my Spectrum Noir markers. And also up top here, I have all of my blender brushes stored in these containers from Make It by Marko. I have a lot of brushes. I've been collecting them. This is the newest one to my edition. This is the Gina K set. Look, I haven't even used those ones yet. Oh, so beautiful. Please don't be mesmerized by my nails. Here's my little Gemini Junior. This has been a little game changer. I like to store the machine on my plates. Someone told me that I should get a Lazy Susan for this, so I am in the market for a small, round, or maybe even a square Lazy Susan, just so that it's easier for me to rotate when I am die cutting. So what I do here is I just keep all of my pattern paper by color, right? I don't get super fancy with it. And some of these shelves also pull out, which is kind of cool. I keep some of my little charts here for example, I haven't filed these yet, but my tri-blend markers. That also is the pink shelf. That's the orange shelf. Sometimes I'll finish a card project, that's from Stamptember that I forgot to send, and I'll just shove it on the shelves. But the fact that these little shelves, most of them pull out, it's so cool because I can just set things on them. And again, I don't know if he designed it that way for me, but it sure is cool. All of my specialty cardstock, so glitter cardstock here, vellums, Yupo paper, anything that is a little bit fancier just goes on that shelf. And then this is something, let's see if I can get all the way down here. These are my scrap shelves. Roy, G-Biv, white, and neutral. So if you ever think, Cathy, do you keep your scraps? I do. I just keep them on these shelves. So it's super easy, right? Easy peasy, Zach Parisi. This is what I like to call the Misti Center. This is where I keep my 2 small Mistis, right? And I keep my original size Misti. This is actually the one that I'm using the most these days. I figure if you can only afford one stamp positioner, getting one that's the original size, you can do more with it. This is what I call the adhesive center. I love it so much. This is where I keep foam squares, okay? Thin foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives. They are the bomb. This is where I keep liquid adhesives. I got a couple Connect glues. I got some Zig 2-way. I just got this little quickie glue pen that I haven't even tried yet. I've got my Gina K tape runners. And this is a brand, I try to keep the new stuff over here. Oh, that is where, okay. My white Post-it tape. I was looking for this the other day and I thought it was out. Well, I should have checked the adhesive center. Also in the adhesive center, I have a little bit of Fun Foam, which I forgot that I had too. Sometimes I'll use Fun Foam on projects, but I don't have much of it left. So a lot of times we just go with foam squares and foam tape, which is actually, surprisingly, not in the adhesive center. Underneath the adhesive center is the Masking Paper Center. Ooh, I've got a piece stuck here. So I've got a couple different masking papers, Gina K and Inkadoo and Simon Says Stamp, plus some Avery Elle stuff here as well. I have the Spellbinders, is it the Glimmer Hot Foil system? And I have not really used it yet. Like I started playing with it and I started making some, look how cute that is. Started making some things around the holidays and just never got back to it. So that is on my list to learn more about. I also keep my gel plate. I only have one, just tuck it right in there. So there's not really a rhyme or reason, but those things eventually will get used. On this shelf, I keep my little board for painting, plus all my little pieces of foam that I use when I pop out die cuts. Here, I just keep some books that I flatten things in, and I've got some, oh, what are these? I got some of this metallic paper stuff that I use to store dies on. I cut it down and use it for dies. Underneath that, believe it or not, that's my pocket storage system. I just have my Avery Elle pockets on a shelf. So when I get new products, I pull it out. Down here, this is just a little prop board. And underneath there, all I have below is paper scraps. So that's that column. Top shelf here, all die cutting. So Crafter's Companion, extra plates, Spellbinders, extra plates, plus my embossing plates are there. This is where Big Mama Tape Roll usually lives, but she's getting small. And this is also where I keep my trusty Score Buddy. Greatest tool ever. All right, we're gonna move down. Now, some of the following shelves, I can't really show you everything on there. Well, I'll show you one thing because they're things in progress or things that are coming to print, but I save these for projects in process. For example, I'm going live at some point this week while I'm filming this video, and I will start setting aside some of the pieces for that live just so that I have them. This is almost like one of those, is it We Are Memory Keepers, those project planner shelves? These are my project planner shelves. So they fill and empty as needed, right? Depending on what I'm working on. Sometimes I have old scrapbook pages that I have to file or products that I have to file away. And, oh, look at that. I got a color wheel. I got some issues of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, just various things that might not have a home. That is nothing. This is where I keep my Bristol paper. And then at the very bottom, I have a whole, oh, no, that is a shelf. Let's see. Scrapbooking things that I can use in scrapbook projects. And down here, this is where I keep all of my Ranger specialty paper, especially the distress watercolor paper, which I love. And then at the very bottom are page protectors. And this, I found this recently and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but this is a self-portrait of me. Circa 19, I don't even know. Thank you. So that is what lives inside this wonderful shelf. And just as a reminder, kitchen table right over beyond yonder brushes. Now we'll work our way around the room, and this is an area that I've sort of taken over too. Now granted, up top, that's the literal liquor cabinet in our house, but I recently just moved some of my inks over here, but I will show you what I keep in the shelves too. These are all Pinkfresh Studio inks and a few Memento inks. And this is a new piece that I have. Oh look, there I am. And I had it over on the IKEA rolling drawer, but then I moved it when I brought my Simon inks down, so that's why that's there. The top two drawers, those belong to the family. But down here, I just keep various things. So this is where I keep, for example, all the score tape that I have, scissors, refills for things, hole punches. It's kind of a catch-all. That's like a 6-hole punch that I don't even know why I have that. Just extra things. Oh, look at that. I have another brush tool. I should set that out. You know, just some extra storage of things. It's kind of a junk drawer, so it's not really well organized. So we're gonna not look at that anymore. This drawer right here is my video resources drawer. This is where I keep my battery packs, all of the cables for when I film and go live. What is this? My little gray card. You know what this is? It's so cool. Whoa, you see that? Just pops right open and helps your white balance. I'll put that back in. I also keep off in the corner my Jennifer McGuire system of labeling, right? I follow what Jennifer says. That's the Brother P Touch. And that is basically all that you're gonna find in this drawer. Here is a funny story about this final drawer over here. This was my original stamp and die storage back in 2017 when I started making cards. Gina K and Lawn Fawn were my first products. I have some Pretty Pink Posh, some Hero Art, some Mama Elephant. This is also where I keep all of my clings. So, clings are all here until I run out of space. This is also where I keep the little plastic things for putting my cards in, and stencils. This is kind of a hot mess. It seems organized, but let me tell you, it could be better. But isn't that the story in most of our lives? Thank you. Oh, it's heavy. Let's start looking at my actual table. Now I want to tell you something about this table. This table, let's look underneath. This is a horrible table. This table, to some of you who love antiques, you would be losing your minds. But it is so unsteady. It is at least 110 years old. And it's not great for filming. Like I said, it moves at the slightest touch, but it's what I have to work with. And also, for Thanksgiving, you can actually add 2 leaves and seat a whole mess of people on it. Over here is where I keep my reflector kit. I use this all the time to actually block the light coming in when I need to film. And over here is where I keep little samples of things that I've done, and my husband basically comes over here to grab them to use as the prettiest shopping lists you've ever seen. This next little area, this is where I keep stamps to file, things that I've used that just have to get filed back in. This is where I keep my most used dies. So right now, that would be the waffle flower layers dies and my Simon Says stamp label dies, which I use pretty much on every card project. Moving across the table, a place for brushes. Found this cutie at the, what's that store called? Oh my gosh, Home Goods. We joke and call it Home Goods. And then I got this cool little pen holder from Yamazaki Home, and I just keep regular pens in there. Speaking of Yamazaki Home, that little jewelry organizer kind of keeps a little bit of everything, and I love that too. I keep my tools in these little cups that my daughter made when she took a pottery class from, oh my gosh, was it when she was an undergrad? And for any of you David Bowie fans, she wrote out the words to Rock and Roll Suicide across all of these cups, and she stamped them with little stamps. So I have a tribute to David Bowie that people, well, they don't even know it's there, but I do. And this is just where I keep all of the things that I reach for off camera when you're not seeing, you see my clean workspace. Everything here is where I grab stuff. That's my new Debbie tool that I love, helps me stamp. And keep my little embossing magic pad here, and that's my little stamp chamois holder. And my laptop. Now my laptop I keep on a really cool thing called an SE Curve from 12 South. And the thing that I use my laptop for is I use this as a video monitor when I'm filming. And I film with the Archon mount. And this is a thing that my phone just pops into and stares down at the table. Of course I can't film in direct sun. And I connect everything through a series of cables. But I wanted to show you this too. Because my table is so horrible, I have to keep the Archon off the table. I weight it down so that it doesn't jiggle, because if I actually tried to set it on this table, it would be a hot mess. But I love this little stool. It's actually by Costco, but not Costco. It's just really helpful. And I keep my heat tool there, and then I also keep my little box here that I use when I use spray adhesive. I just pull it out, set it down on the floor, and spray it down. Oh, one last little thing here in the corner. I have this cute little garbage can that I put things in. And of course, my husband's orchid collection, which I cannot touch and has been a point of contention. But that is a look at the basic area that I work and film. But yeah, that's where I film. I'll pop a link below if you're interested in reading a blog post about my video setup. So that's a look from a distance, but I wanted to show you really quick where, and let's pan slowly. Don't look at my kitchen, it's super messy. This is where I have moved the core of my main scrapbooks. And I wanted you to see this because the way I do this is each person in the album gets an initial on the spine, and if it's Cathy, it's Cathy. If it's family, it's family. If it's Aiden, it's Aiden, etc. Let's come down here. There's more Aiden and more Cathy, but that is where, and then they're tucked behind. I kind of overtook this space, and again, there used to be videos in here, and I told the hubby, hon, I gotta have a place to put the scrapbooks, because the scrapbooks, we're not getting rid of those until I'm no longer on the planet. But I wanted you to see where those were, because those are nowhere near the crafts. Well, I mean, they're near, but you know what I mean. You gotta do what you gotta do. So that's the tour of my space. This is where I have been creating since 2003, and honestly, it works for me. As soon as I can get some blinds, you know, maybe get the liquor cabinet a little more sorted out for more craft supplies, and I'm golden. Thanks so much for watching, and here's to organizing whatever corner of the house you call your creative home. Thanks so much for watching today. I would love to have you become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And if you do subscribe, be sure to hit the gray bell below the video so that you don't miss the next time I post. Here are a couple other videos that you might be interested in watching. Thanks so much and have a great day.